Hello and welcome to our first episode of In Our Midst. It's a show about local Bay Area filmmakers. You know, oftentimes we don't realize we have a filmmaker neighbor living next door, and next thing you know, he has his crew and everybody. Today we have a guest, Michael Andrews. He's a UCLA graduate. He did a bachelor's in British literature. Michael, I was wondering why you chose to do British literature. Usually UCLA people go for films, film department and film schools.
Well, you know, Isa, I think that film is the future of literature, at least in the sense of the novel. So I've just made the move to film now, instead of waiting for the novel gradually to die. And I certainly do not mean to upset fellow literary persons by that, but it's just a hypothesis of mine, and I'm just sticking by it, so I'm making the move to film now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says here you had a passion for dance and theater acting. Is it something also pushed you towards
I got into literature through acting, and I got into acting through dance. So that's how I got into literature, and then literature went to film. So that's how that worked. But I see most persons getting into film either through literature, through camera work, or through performance.
Yeah.
Those are the three kinds of persons I see coming to film now as the new medium for literary art.
But you see, writing a novel is a lot different than making a film, because writing is a solitude effort. Somebody could sit in a cabin and write a novel, but filmmaking involves a lot of different people, all the cast and crew, and you have to haggle. You have to be a somewhat social person.
Yeah.
How do you see it?
No, it certainly is a concession for the author that he has to be more social and work with a group. I think in order to maintain authorship on a film, for a literary person, I think that person has to make sure that his crew and cast are made up of friends who understand that the director is, by theory, the author of the film. And if they can understand that, as especially friends should, then regardless of the number of persons on the movie, it'll still have that singular authorship that a novel would. So
have you been able to put together a crew that you can work with, have the same vision for film?
Actually I have. I mean, it's taken time. I just finished my second feature. So let's see. It's been approximately 6 or 7 years. But I think after six or 7 years, I'm able to say that, yeah, I finally have a crew of friends that I can work with who will let me be the author of my own work as we're all working together as artists on a project.
Your first film, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, you shot it on a 35 millimeter.
Yes.
Which I think is very expensive and very tedious, and involves a lot of lighting and all these technical challenges. How did you do that?
Well, our way of dealing with the difficulties of film in 35 millimeter was by taking a lot of time. I would say the film took, I don't know, in the end, 5 years, almost 6 years to get the film done. So it took time. Time was the way. Whereas when we ended up shooting on high definition or video, we had the whole thing done in under a year. So 1:6 ratio between film and video.
Yeah, and shooting on film is not just time consuming, it's very expensive.
Yes,
because
yes it is.
film is
yes it is.
It takes exposure. You have to it's where the budget came from.
The budget, I think we had 9 investors on the movie in order to get that done. But no, it is very cost prohibitive. And also that first film, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, was also a union movie.
Okay.
So we had that to deal with also, and that compounded it.
And you have done, now you say you did a film on HD?
Yes, so now that we've done the 35 millimeter SAG movie, we've done everything we were supposed to do, whatever that means. Now I feel liberated that I don't have, film guilt or union guilt on going ahead and making the same film on video, non-union. Because I know many filmmakers might feel that guilt, and I don't think they should have to feel that, and they certainly shouldn't have to learn it at school. They certainly wouldn't learn it in my class.
Yeah.
So
If you involve union and SAG actors, and I know there is the rates you have to pay them.
right, exactly.
That's alone just kills half of your budget.
Yes.
I can imagine.
I'm happy to say that our union actors were very considerate and tried to go for all their minimums. So what I actually found the most consuming about dealing with the union was actually just the rules of it. The actors were very forthcoming. Their agents were very forthcoming. The union was as forthcoming as it could be, but it was actually, the working rules.
Yes, I know there are a lot of regulations.
That's what was burdensome.
Yeah, working with union, I have done a few union projects,
Okay.
and they had people coming and checking if you're feeding your crew on time.
Exactly.
If there is doctors on site.
Exactly.
All this, and that's just seems very, very hard to do if you're an independent filmmaker.
Yeah, it definitely. And that's another thing. For someone to be independent or low budget, we're still in the same category as persons who make a movie for $999,999.99. Anyone under $10 million is in the same category. So for a Hollywood person to say he's low budget, and for an independent, non-Hollywood person to say he's low budget, is a world of difference, both working with the union.
Yeah, but the end result, the film on 35 millimeter and the high def film, they're two different. I would prefer 35 millimeter if it wasn't so expensive.
Sure.
Because it's very pleasing to the eyes.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, people who appreciate film and appreciate the ability to, show something on a large screen without any pixelation or any kind of loss of, film quality.
Yeah.
Persons who are very visual will always appreciate 35 millimeter, especially when it's well lit. I mean, it is a feast for the eyes.
Yeah.
And it's funny, some movies arguably don't need that, and if they don't need that, then maybe they don't need film. And movies that are more beautiful, more epic perhaps, then regardless, they call for that 35 millimeter.
Yeah, so your film Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, what is the film about?
Father, Son, Holy Ghost is a father-son road trip movie. So, we all have seen father-son movies.
Yeah.
And we've seen movies that are road trip movies, where a person's going on a road trip together. So in short, I would say it's a father-son road trip movie, and it has a Latino backdrop, in that it deals with certain, Latino cultural issues. Whereas my new movie, Layla, it would be a like good cop, bad cop, innocent girl movie, which we've all seen before. The crazy cop, and then the good cop.
I want to come back to Layla later
certainly,
on, but I would really like to
Certainly.
break down this film.
Sure,
Was it a period piece? Was it shot in Bay Area? What are the themes?
Father, Son, Holy Ghost was all shot in the Bay Area, with the exception of our desert scene, which was supposed to have taken place at the Mexican border with California. So we did go into Southern California for that. Beside that, it was all in Northern California. It's episodic, so it's in 3 episodes, one in the 80s, one in the 90s, and one in the present. The 80s piece was, in a way, a bit of a period piece, in that we did have to consider costumes for the period.
Interesting. So where is the movie now? Is it being distributed? Are you talking to some people?
The movie's with a distribution company out of Las Vegas called ITN. And right now, ITN, like a lot of places, is just kind of waiting to see where everything's going with the whole, new socioeconomy, and that includes film. What kind of films are going to be distributed, and what do audiences want to see? And I hope that they would like to see classical dramas with contemporary cultural backdrops.
It's interesting you found a distributor in Las Vegas, not Los Angeles, or
Yeah.
in San Francisco. How did you end up meeting them, and was it
You
somebody?
know what's funny? They heard about me through someone, so I cannot even answer your question about how they heard about me. You know, it's such a small world, in that you never know who knows whom, and they might
Yeah.
approach you, and you said, "Oh, I didn't know you'd even heard about me," so thanks.
So one day, if a selling agent sees your film and they like it and they would like it, to sell it,
Right.
are you locked with the distributor? Can you get out of
You
it?
know, a lot of distributors in this economy tend to be better about not being restrictive. Be like a real estate agent on a house, not restricting you.
Yeah.
So they could contact ITN distribution, or they could contact me, but distributors, I think, are being better about that. And when I say
Okay.
distributors, I'm speaking about independent distributors, not Hollywood distributors, whereas, I'm confident that Universal Pictures would have, an ironclad contract on anything that was born and raised in the Hollywood system, instead of being a low-budget independent guy like myself outside the system who, comes to the system when it's time to distribute, but otherwise is making his movies independently here in Northern California.
Yeah, and with the Latin twist, with the Latin family involved, it looks like your film would be a good fit for Latin market. So have you done anything international to market it in Latin America, maybe even Europe?
I just finished the movie within the last year, and because it's part of that, taking 6 years to get it done. It's
Yeah.
funny, I almost have 2 films done at the same time. But I would like to think so, and I would like to think that it'd be interesting to the, like Latino males, like 18 to 35 particularly.
Okay.
But I haven't had a chance to test that yet.
Yeah,
I look forward to that,
And
though.
I'm sure you have heard of American Film Market in Los Angeles.
Yes,
It's a
yeah,
conference.
one of the big film markets
Have
in
you
the world.
Have you tried that?
Actually, I think ITN missed the date for that by the time I had submitted to them. They did make it to Cannes. I know we have Cannes and the one in Milan, and then there's the American Film Market. So I don't think they've been to AFM yet with it.
It would be interesting to see the movie or to watch a clip. Did you bring any clip with you today? Can we see something?
I don't have a clip of Father, Son, Holy Ghost. I have only a behind the scenes clip, which I just finished of the new movie.
Oh, behind the scenes,
So-
those are the fun clips. I would like
The
to
fun
see that.
clips?
Yeah.
All
The
right.
still photos, any behind the scenes, because that's what.
It'll
the
show all the
real-
locations, and we can take a look at it and see some Northern California locations used in the new movie Layla.
Yeah, if we can play it.
But while they're fighting, I would like to, ideally, I would have this be the backdrop. the
So this
whole
is about
time. Whether you
where was the
are
location?
masters
What is going to be location? Is it?
All of these locations are in
something, and if you just go like this,
in Northern California. This first location should be in Carmel at the beach. So we had a beach scene, and we shot it in Carmel.
Yeah, that looks like Northern California.
Yeah, this was entirely in Northern California, and nothing, nothing here. We didn't have to leave Northern California for anything in this movie.
and have it wind up this way.
So here we're taking a look at the beach, and you can see, the tricky thing about shooting at a beach, obviously, is all the variables. So you have the
Yeah,
change
the-
of weather
the
and the
gust of
wind.
wind.
Yeah, the things you don't really think about when you're in a studio system in Hollywood.
So the main character, does he have a kid? Is he the main character?
Yeah, he's playing the bad cop.
Okay.
There's the innocent girl. There's the bureaucratic internal affairs guy.
Yeah.
And you see our trailer there in the background, because you have to bring all your stuff out there with a generator to the middle of nowhere.
So this was the union shoot, right?
Actually, this one was the non-union shoot. But you can see it still entails the same number of persons, and arguably the same amount of professionality, or professionalism, I should say. This here is not on film. This is shooting on video, as you had discussed earlier. And here we're shooting on a Panasonic.
So did you have to rent the equipment? Is it are you
Yes.
somebody you know?
Yeah, the employment of him included the rental of the equipment. But no matter what, even shooting non-union, the producer concerns were still the camera rental,
Yeah.
the lights rental, the insurance, which the state of California required for the beach, regardless of
Yeah.
the union, and the craft service, the food for the
Yeah.
actors.
And to my knowledge, shooting in Carmel it's not you have to have a permit to shoot there, right?
Yeah, we had to close off that beach for that day in order to do
Wow.
it legitimately.
That must be expensive as well.
Yes, although I must say the state of California did make it as easy as possible. I think because Governor Schwarzenegger was involved in the film business, he has had a soft spot for facilitating rentals of state places for independent filmmakers.
Really?
And for that, yeah, and for that I'm grateful, because renting this beach at Carmel,
Yeah, I could
think is
imagine
easy.
him coming from a film. He should understand.
Yep, and
Because I heard
I think he did.
San Francisco is one of the toughest cities to shoot.
Yeah, and I have heard through film persons' hearsay that the reason it's difficult to shoot in San Francisco more has to do with the residents than it really does even the city. Because I know for this movie we had to deal with the San Francisco Police Department, and they were very amenable to working. So that was nice.
That was very interesting.
Oh, thank you,
clip
thank
to,
you.
to watch.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see the film. You're working on your next project. Are you almost done with Layla, right?
Yeah, this Layla movie, I'm working on the color right now.
Okay.
Getting it colorized, and actually the color is more difficult doing that with high definition than with film.
Okay.
Only in that high definition I'm doing it through a computer. It's not traditional chemical development with film.
So what is the Layla about? What's the story?
It's about a girl from the Middle East, and we don't specify.
Okay. But it's
and-
obvious that
Yeah,
she's
it's
Middle
clear. It's
Eastern.
clear that she's Middle Eastern. She comes to the United States. She's in an arranged marriage. She gets in a fight with her fiance, and then she gets in this big challenge about I can make it on my own, because she has very big American ideas. And then she ends up meeting this this psychotic police officer, which she doesn't know, and then this really nice police officer, and then the story just takes off from there. What's going to happen to the innocent Middle Eastern girl when she only has these two persons to play off in her new American experience? So.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I look forward to
so-
showing it to you.
How did you do the casting for that? Did you go through? Is it somebody you know, or you
Yeah,
went
this
through
is all
casting
just
agency?
these are all just persons I knew. Actually, I don't think there was one casting agent on this, but that's only because I'd gone through that experience before. So I was trying to make Layla cost a fifth the cost of Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and we
Okay.
pulled that off.
So 1/5.
1/5 the cost. So yeah, if you talk about the ratio between doing it completely legitimately in one sense of the word, 35 millimeter union versus non-union video, it was a fifth the cost.
Okay. So where did the story come from? Is that
Boy, it's a
something
good
you read
question.
somewhere? Where's the inspiration for the film?
I'm finding, for me at least as a writer, if I may call myself that the idea for a story is usually starting with a vision of a scene in my head.
Is that something you see in real life, or is it something
You know,
imagine?
something fantastical.
Very fictional.
Yeah, something fictional in my head comes into my head, and I don't know how I got to this scene.
Okay.
And then in order to figure out how I get to this scene, I come up with a strong protagonist and a strong antagonist. And once I have these characters clearly, so it's character-based,
Okay.
and these characters necessarily represent ideas and antithetical ideas to each other, I follow these two antithetical characters until they take me to that scene, because the original scene I always come up with is in the climax
Okay.
of I call it Act 4, in a 5-act structure. So that's what works for me. I know that many authors do not work that way, but character-based, follow the protagonist and antagonist to the original image in my mind. That is the most efficient way for me to write something which I think is theatrical and solid.
And I would imagine it's hard to write scenes and just come up with the themes. If you're not from Middle East, if you're not familiar with the culture,
Exactly.
it's very hard. So you must have to consult somebody. Did you do that? Did you just
I
Google
did.
it?
I did, but in order to be, and it's usually through persons I know, but in order for me to be fair, that's why I have to say that Father Son's having a Latino backdrop.
Yeah, that's
And Layla's having a Middle Eastern backdrop. They are more backdrops to the piece than they are the piece themselves. Because I
Okay.
can't say that the piece does justice as an exploration of the culture. They're very much American classical pieces with these backdrops, as opposed to being real explorations of the cultures themselves.
okay.
Yeah.
So is she having some moral issues?
Well, the moral issues is she's exploring a lot of the things that she heard in her background,
Okay.
which maybe she can't necessarily believe until she sees it in a very harsh reality, represented through the bad cop and the good cop.
And you shot it on a P2 card, right?
Exactly.
HD?
So that Panasonic wasn't even going to mini DV tapes. It was just those P2 cards you're talking about.
Like a 15 minutes a take, or you have to upload it all the time? You have to
Yeah,
have
I
some
forget. It was approximately 10 minutes or 12 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you had an editor on site doing that while you-
Exactly. We called our second assistant cameraman the data wrangler, and he would have to do that
So
exclusively.
Are you satisfied with the picture you got? Is it?
Actually, I am, and I'm not
Really?
a real high tech, guy who wants to boast about his tech versus someone else's Red camera or somebody else's XL2.
Yeah.
But I am satisfied with it because I certainly am not interested in being on the front line of high definition experimentation.
Okay. Yeah, I think most of the time it's not about the camera you use, it's about the content, because in this age there's so much going on. There's the internet and everything. It's a content that drives
Yes.
everything, right?
Yes. Well, I would like to say so, and maybe that's what perhaps, Isa, puts us both in a more literary tradition when push comes to shove, because the
Okay.
character, even the story, is going to be more important than any wonderful technical gimmick, any new film development or video
Yeah.
development, any simply stylistic thing. Push comes to shove, I will have to value content over form, which is not necessarily America's tradition.
No, but I think that's what's going to happen. There would be so many cameras that cost 300,000 each, but if there is no, strong story with a strong backbone, I don't know if.
Well, I like to think so, but that's definitely a prejudice which puts me in a specific camp among filmmakers.
Yeah, and independent filmmakers, I think you can do with the bad camera, but you cannot do with bad story, right?
I would like to think so. I would like to think that most audience would prefer to have strong characters, only in that the persons who really seem to enjoy the technical aspect are filmmakers, and specific filmmakers. I think most persons just plain want a good story with good characters. They can always relate to a story.
So what do you find the most rewarding as a filmmaker? I know it's it's a haggling business, but at the end of the day, you feel like.
I think that the freedom of speech in film is what's wonderful about it. I think that it is because it's a group project, as you said, it's also very individualistic. And in the end, on the assumption one has strong characters, one has made some kind of exploration of a thing through characters. So I find it very, very liberating. Film doesn't have to be technical, it doesn't have to be political, it can be an exploration of an idea. So that's what I mean by freedom.
So if an independent filmmaker wants to go out there and make a film, what's the one most important element that he should be equipped with?
Well, we've heard ratios as filmmakers before, but I would have to agree that the story and the casting of the characters does constitute 80% of the movie. If you have a good story and good casting of the characters, then your movie will not fall below a B-.
Okay.
And that means direction becomes less important. But if I have a weaker story, or I've cast the wrong people for the role, they're just not quite right for it, I cast them for some other reason beside their appropriateness for the
Yeah,
role,
your friends.
then, yeah, well, maybe, exactly. I have to be careful as an independent filmmaker. Then I have to do more direction. If I got good story and good casting, I can do less direction.
Okay, that begs the question, do you have a story for the next project? Are you working with something?
Well, you know, I would like to do a period piece. Many persons are doing a lot of period pieces right now. It seems as if Hollywood is taking a look backward and doing a lot of historical pieces. I would like to be able to do one too. I'd like to do a World War II piece. Those are very popular right now. The challenge for me is, can I, every time, as I'm improving, I hope, as a filmmaker, can I get more efficient? And can I get a movie that's 5 times bigger, but do it for a fifth the cost of the previous feature? That's what I'd like to be able to do.
Okay.
So,
But a period
Yeah.
piece, as you know, involves a lot of
true.
costume design,
true.
production design.
yeah.
There's a cost on different, things. So if
I-
you had a budget, how would you shoot it? On a HD, 35 millimeter? Do you
You
have
know,
any
I think I'll be staying on video.
projection?
I think I'll be staying on video, and I don't feel bad about that.
Well, I think, it's good talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you very much for having me here today. It's
my
nice
pleasure.
to have an opportunity to talk to everybody, and I hope it helps other persons maybe take that chance on making a movie, even if he doesn't think of himself as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you have been inspiration for us, and we'll be following you on your next projects, and I will check out all your films.
oh, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Well, I look forward to maybe being
And-
back, and anytime I can
definitely.
ever give my 2 cents worth to help someone save more than 2 cents on his movie.
Yeah, so if you're to say something to a struggling filmmaker out there, what would that be?
I would say a story, 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 story. I think Hitchcock said that. And make it character-based, even more than plot-based or style-based. Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.